Behold, the dragon that captured giants. I introduce you to three one-eyed giants in Greek mythology called the Cyclopes. This plural describes a group of cyclops, meaning giant one-eyed giant. Now, of course, we have to acknowledge that there are two breeds of cyclops. The one we're talking about is the one that helped Zeus and many other goddesses and gods fight the Titans. Here's how the story went. Once upon a time, there were three of their only species, three blacksmith cyclops. They were the last of the type of cyclops left on Earth. After many warriors came around to slay them for their eyes or their skulls. The skulls still lay around as a constant reminder that those three are the last male cyclopes. They spend their whole life isolated from the world, enjoying their jobs as immense blacksmiths. These are very far away people that are distant, and unlike their cousins who prefer to eat humans, they don't really care about humans. Yeah, they might step on them just for fun from time to time, but they weren't that cruel. Only if they were bored, they became cruel monsters. And yet these three cyclopes were the last of their kind, living a horrific life, locked inside a deep labyrinth they had built for themselves in order to help them concentrate on their jobs. That's when, in the middle of the day of work one day, living their boring, horrifying life, in the disgusting hallways of the building, something came. The goddess came. When the Titans decided to wage war against the gods, they decided to send the Cyclopes into a deep place known as Tartarus, so they wouldn't even think about helping the people they supported, the gods and goddesses. And in order to ensure that they wouldn't escape, and they had no hopes of escaping, they put a massive dragon there. They made it from out of nothing. It just spawned in there out of nowhere and started to guard the area containing the Cyclopes. This was the dragon that captured Cyclops giants. Anyway, these giants would go on to live the rest of their lives, well, what they thought it was, in a small claustrophobic barrier without food nor water. They survived 9 months like this before they couldn't take it and they started screaming in pain. They became so disheartened that the dragon would often breathe fire on them just to make them feel bad and feel in a lot more pain. It enjoyed and fed on their screams. Then one day, someone heard their screams and someone had come to save them. After saving his 5 siblings and after getting them out of Kronos, Zeus lured his 4 brothers to war. In the middle of war, it looked like the gods were losing, as there was only 6 gods against 12 mega titans and hundreds of minor titans. So he decided to get 3 more on his side. He decided to end up recruit some betraying titans. And then, as his last thing, he decided to find the greatest blacksmiths in the world, the Cyclops. Therefore, he didn't look for the cannibalistic ones living on Cyclopes Island. Well, 2 islands. But he went underground into Tartarus where he fought the dragon that was containing these men. He ended up slaying the dragon and getting them, and as gratitude for this, he ended up creating Zeus's thunderbolt and many other weapons in order to go to war. They also went to war themselves with giant spears, stabbing titan after titan. Now there was no dragon to get in their way. they ended up finally killing the goddess that trapped them there. However, it's unknown how they met their fate afterwards. Maybe they're still alive today. Nobody knows. However, there are two breeds of Cyclops. We must remember that there are the stronger, cannibalistic, dumber ones. Then there are the weaker, more sophisticated ones that spend all their life as grateful but deadly giants who work in a giant blacksmith room. The end. The Congo is a place that some people say living dinosaurs and prehistoric mammals have survived in. From the Emlynatuka to the Mokele Membe, to the Kasai Rex, to even more creatures like the Amala. However, what people usually don't talk about are the Ice Age mammals that could be living out in the Congo. This story is called the Emlamalka, or for short, the African Malka, or the African giant ground sloth. There's also another name given to it, and that's the giant African bull sloth. That's because it's actually spending most of its time on the ground, and it almost never climbs trees. Only if it's doing something rather dumb. This creature is not the brightest of bulbs when it comes to wild animals, and that's how 3 images were taken of it in the wild. In 1935, a group of 5 hunters went to the Congo. They encountered 2 tribes. The last tribe they were set to visit was in the Kasai Valley. They ended up seeing the men looking at something. There were 5 dead bodies found in the ditch. The skulls all revealed with sharp nails pierced into them, while the imprints of 3 sharp nails on each one. These nails were not gunshots, but instead they were long, 90 centimeters long at least. That is the largest of these claws. Anyway, the men asked the men what happened, only to get the answer, Malka, a massive pig-like beast with a tapir nose, came here alongside another one, its mate. The 2 animals attacked, and they ended up killing 5 individual tribe members. The tribe leader ended up trying to kill one of them. However, it was unsuccessful. However, it only injured the female's arm, making the male even more angry, and he ended up throwing the man into a ditch that was far away. They actually don't know where the body ended up. It just flew away once it was hit by the massive claw. And they did not have a leader, nor did they have 5 more tribe members. It would be an honor if these 5 men tried to capture or kill these beasts. So they went on a journey to kill the Malka. And so the men went on their journey to kill the Malka. The giant bull sloth, they named it. Whilst one of the men were writing in the diary, a man screamed, "Look!" Meanwhile, the other members were running. They ended up coming back after hearing the word "look," only for the creature to have run away as soon as it was disturbed. The men talked about what the beast was, as the man who saw it said it had the nose of a tapir or elephant, and it had the build of a massive black bear. It had legs like a lion, crossed with a hyena, and although its weight, which was incredibly large, it was running at top speeds of at least 15 to 11 miles per hour. That's how it escaped the men. They ended up setting out. This would be the next and last day at the Congo. They needed to find and kill the beast before it was too late and they had to go back. It was a very dangerous expedition, not just because 6 people died trying to stop the 2 beasts, but there was only 5 people and they had to go back. They could also be assaulted and killed by other Kasai Valley animals, like elephants, rhinos, lions and hyenas, alongside wild dogs. That's when he heard it. The next day, one of the men heard rustling in the bushes. He called the other men to see what exactly was going on. At first the men did not see, and then they turned to see the giant bull sloth. At first you can't see it, but if you zoom in, you can see a large bear-like ground sloth creature biting off of a tree. They were shocked at seeing the sight, so they ran away instantly. However, the other man waited to take 2 more perfect pictures of the mega beast after finding out they didn't really look right. This was the very next picture taken. This time we can see the creature as its full self. This is the mid picture. It shows the head, or a piece of the head. The man was scared away after the creature swung both its claws at him. He ended up dropping the camera. Then the other man ran back to grab the camera, only to be right into the side of a bush, instantly dying due to the poison berries inside. This was the greatest and last picture. A deer ran by the body and ended up being whacked in the stomach, instantly dying and becoming the beast's new feast. The men ran away to the airport where they told their story, but no one believed them. Now, over many years, there have been many anonymous individuals citing this beast, like the sighting that's been deleted in 2008. However, most people tell it are the tribes. So what do you think of this amazing story about the giant living ground sloth? The end. This is a short documentary made in curiosity of a theory. It's called the Mariana Mosasaur theory. I'm the one who constructed this theory on the channel Spino Rhino. Here, your main guide, Spino, will present information. I've been researching dinosaurs, pterosaurs and marine reptiles for 2 years, and I found out that a lot of things are possible. Specifically, look at the Mariana Trench today. I've spent nights watching plenty of documentaries about it, and I will share every bit of information I have on this theory I have constructed. As you are watching this theory is probably going to come out when I'm 18. Right now I'm 10 now, and it's 2022. I'm a man of my word, I'm not lying, I'm literally not lying. So, as of right now, I believe I'm the only one who has actually come up with this theory. What I'm saying is that look at massive sharks that live in the Mariana Trench. So imagine how big mosasaurs and prehistoric marine reptiles could grow if they delved into the Mariana Trench. Plus, look at how mysterious the place is. I mean, think about it. Mosasaurs in the Mariana Trench isn't that far-fetched, or at least some form of extinct or alive reptiles living in the Mariana Trench, like marine reptiles, like ichthyosaurs and mosasaurs and crocodilomorphs and all that. This theory applies mostly to Hartmann's Mosasaurus itself, or descendants at least. One thing is simple. Over the course of around approximately 165 million years of evolution, it wouldn't be so far-fetched to see a mosasaur living in the Mariana Trench. Imagine what life could be down there, and yet it's undiscovered because it's practically impossible as of today to go in the Mariana Trench and find fossils of mosasaurs or creatures like ammonites. Imagine what sort of life could be laying down there in the Mariana Trench. So yeah, there are a lot of things backing this up, like how Mariana Trench is mostly undiscovered. No one really knows if there are fossils. I mean, there are very few fossils of creatures like ammonites and only small creatures. But imagine how large creatures grow today. They'll evolve bioluminescence in order to know where they're going, or in order to cannibalize each other, which many modern day creatures still do today. Mosasaurs are also notorious for doing this, as a fossil of a Tylosaurus have been found. Also, imagine the size that these things could grow to. Everything gets bigger in the Mariana Trench because of the small amount of oxygen. And in order to get as much as possible, they expand or shrink their bodies. Therefore, we could see 2-meter mosasaurs, 4-meter mosasaurs, and massive ones that are approximately might be 100 feet long, as large as the largest sauropods, larger than the largest blue whales. The average mosasaur is around 60 to 68 feet long. Those are the larger estimates, usually only around 50 feet long. So imagine that, but twice the size. Imagine how big these marine mosasaurs would grow. And imagine how much prey they'd have to be down there. Maybe they'd shrink to sizes of microbes, like 10 centimeters. All I really know and all I really care about this theory is that somewhere there probably is marine reptiles from the Cretaceous living in the Mariana Trench. The end. Today we will look at 3 living cryptids people supposedly sighted all around the world. Today we'll be looking at 3 places: North America, where we go to Canada, South America, where we go to the Amazon rainforest, finally but not least, Britain in England. We encounter the British. monster. Number 3. The least scariest monster. Also known as the British Bigfoot, this creature has been sighted mostly in winter, and it has been said that it usually attacks humans and rams. It has been seen walking around and even chasing humans and tormenting small 16th century villages that are somehow still up today. Also, tracks, fossil evidence and scratch marks of giant-sized apes have been found in Britain. Maybe this is a survivor of a species like Gigantopithecus, although this species, the largest ape to ever exist, never lived in Britain. To this day it is unknown what the British Bigfoot is, but it is most likely that it is a man in a suit, dressed up as Bigfoot just to get clowned. Could also be a surviving cave lion, cave hyena, or cave bear that existed 30,000 years ago and died 12 to 10,000 years ago. And although this creature may sound incredibly terrifying, here's a story made by an anonymous user on Facebook. I was walking down a road when I saw this beast. But little did I know that this would turn that brought my whole life to an end. It didn't actually kill me. Instead, I saw the beast and it started to chase me down the road. It was chasing me in the middle of the night and it brought me down. I'm around 57 in age and my last name is Jackson. Number 2. Although number 1 was utterly terrifying, this one will be even more terrifying because it lives in the Amazon rain forest. But before we enter this, I just want you to politely like and subscribe before we go on the next one on this very list. Number 2. Before we enter number 2, I'd just like to distinguish this beast from any other cryptid you had seen before. This one, his name is the Malka, also standing for the Amazon bullfrog. This creature was sighted in the 1930s. However, we have a whole video dedicated to this one sighting. There are 2 more lesser known sightings, one that takes place in 1993 and another in 2008, the last 2 sightings of this beast. In 1993, the Jurassic Park came out. I get them confused. A woman was walking down a bridge with her 2 children after deciding to take them to the Amazon, with one of them being 16 whilst the other was only 13. The 2 siblings ended up meeting alongside the new beast. This was a giant sloth they described as being 4 meters long, at least 14 feet tall. It lifted its whole body up, eating the grass, before turning at the 16-year-old boy who tried to defend his younger sibling, only for him to be bashed into by the tapir-like nose of this massive beast before it turned around and quickly ran away. The boy was found with a scratch mark on his stomach and also a bash on his nose. That's why he was found with a broken nose and an almost vacantly large hole in his stomach. The next one in 2008 and the most recent one happened like this. A 65-year-old old man was sitting in his retirement home where he saw something. A giant monster. The sloth walked out of his house. It walked in and out. It was about a metre long, crawling on all fours before walking out the end. Now, before we get to number 1, the most terrifying on this list, we have an honourable mention. Your mum. Well, enough with the jokes. Number 1. It's so terrifying that I am honestly weeping right now. Number 1. The Green Lagoon Beast. Also known as the Beast of Green Lagoon. This creature was found in the year 1954, the same day where almost all UFO sightings happened. Coincidence? Maybe it has a coincidence. Maybe it isn't. Anyway, this legendary creature was found dragging a woman into the sea, with a man grabbing the woman by her wrist and pulling her out. But the creature fought back. Standing onto the shoreline, it bit the man on the hand before he went to emergency services, dying of a venomous wound. At the time, and to this day, there are no known venomous snakes that live in the sea, nor any creatures that resemble this that have a venomous or toxic bite. Therefore, it's unknown what this beast even did and how it even put venom into that man. What was it doing to that woman in the first place? It was honestly not known, but this beast is so terrifying. Imagine swimming in Canada and then being dragged under the water, only for a man to pull you out and save you, but then that man to be burned as the creature starts to... Hopefully you enjoy. This creature is really, really dangerous. The only encounter with the U-28 creature. A German U-boat in 1915 ended up encountering the Iberian, a British boat. The two instantly started fighting and the Iberian was the loser, sinking to the water in 25 minutes. In 25 seconds. However, among the water, blasted from the blast impact from the Iberian, was a massive sea creature at least 80 feet long. It resembled a marine crocodile that was adapted to living in water and only living in water. It was said that this creature was so big it flung at least 100 feet in the air before going back in the water. So, what do you think it is? In Papua New Guinea, humanoid elephants have been sighted flying in the sky. It's the most random thing you can think of, but actually these sightings are contributed to UFO and alien sightings across the world. Nobody knows whether these humanoid elephants are real or fake. In 1962, a man said to have saw one of these creatures with wings flying in the sky with a massive horn on its head, resembling that of a rhino. It also had 4 small tusks, 2 massive teeth, with the rest being smaller ones, and a short trunk. A very, very described creature. So what do you think of the humanoid elephant? Real or fake? Do you think this is what real alien sightings are? Real or fake? It has been of human nature to hate everything that's big and to be afraid of it at all cost. However, some giant creatures have been unknown. Today we are talking about the giants that stalked Pendle Hill. First of all, here's an image of just one real-life giant. Due to gigantism, this man grew so big. Here's the story of Pendle Hill. Also known as the land of riches or home of all riches, Pendle Hill has been around for at least 2 to 8 million years. However, we're not talking about the riches. Let me talk about the giants of Pendle Hill. These creatures were last sighted 143 years ago. And it's said that in mythology, or not so much mythology, these giants were seen up until 143 years ago, when it said that the last of these giants were killed by a group of early American settlers. Anyway, these settlers were going to report a giant who attacked them on the hill. However, there was a sighting of one more giant on Pendle Hill in 1983. The 1980s seems to be the era of all monster sightings for some reason. Anyway, it said that whilst the man was skating down a hill, like at winter, he ended up seeing a massive giant over the hill. And they only come out at winter for some reason. Here's an artist's recreation. We see the creature with a bump on its shoulder and a bump on its head. It was also seen with half a human under it, throwing a massive rock in the snow of winter. And yet these giants only come out in winter. So, what did this man see in 1983? That will be the subject of today's video. It seems like there is almost no answer to what this man saw. Only a lie. Maybe, just maybe, he did see a giant who had awoken on its very last day of life, lucky enough to meet the man, of course. Anyway, another sighting happened, so it's time to really explain what those American settlers saw. Well, here's the 2-minute story. Told by the chief's perspective, of course. We were just, going down the path when we saw it. Just as we were playing some instruments, to pass time, we saw the creature come from a hill and roar. We grabbed our spears and were quick to throw at the giant. The giant was almost impenetrable to our weapons, and a violent battle was pursued. Humans versus giant. However, there was not one giant, but there was an adult male and a young female. These two ended up fighting us. And these lumped up looking giants were on Pendle Hill. It was just so disturbing. Their faces looked so distorted. Unlike the giants you'd see in folklore, these were a different breed, and we named them the Mortiadiad giants, a new race of giants. Giants were quick to start to throw boulders at us, and we ended up dodging all but one of them, who knocked us off our massive sleigh. We ended up falling to the ground and started to pull out our weapons. Early guns were shot at the creatures that day, with the young one dying first, succumbing to its injuries. The male was injured severely and was so angry it started throwing one more boulder that failed to hit the men. However, it did form a well-known rock preservation nearby, which is a colossal discovery for these men. The men who witnessed this fossilized rock be thrown in midair by a giant forming a rock preservation. Today we are looking at a mysterious cryptid that has not been seen for 25 years. The creature was described by Angus, but his last name was Ordmans. He described it as a bipedal ape that ran upright, chasing him down a circus pathway. So what did he see that night? After he was found by locals, he quickly died to blood loss, but he had some moments to describe his story and what exactly happened to him. He said that whilst crawling through bushes with his younger siblings, this 25-year-old man would end up finding something utterly terrifying. He'd see a twisted face with massive teeth that chomped down on his hand, ripping it off. So what do you think this creature was? The man tried running as fast as he can, and true, he did outrun the creature, but died of his injuries afterwards. What do you think happened to the man? And what do you think this creature was? First, let's get through the description of the beast. It was described as a tall, lengthy being that swung its arms and legs around everywhere like it had no joints. He described it as hairy all over his body, but its face was pale white, like a ghost. The creature was described as being at least 17 feet tall. Massive, absolutely massive. It dwarfs anything in its path. So what do you think it was doing? First, let's discuss the location. It's unknown where the location was. We were in southern Japan, where we were in a circus. Him and his siblings had recently just watched a circus. And the creature was too big, definitely too big to be an extreme ape. It was 17 feet tall, and it ran in the plains chasing the man. Although slower than a human, the creatures would use ambush to trap its prey. So, this is just utterly terrifying. The man ran for his life, but no matter what, he could not outrun the beast. It was just too fast. What do you think, again, of this encounter? I know I might be asking too many questions, but it's only to pass the time. Again, what do you think? A tall, ape-like man, 17 feet tall with a disturbing face and tall Momo-like hair. It was in Japan, so what do you think it was? So, there are other sightings. However, this one we just discussed was called Ordman's encounter. We were chased down and had his arm ripped off by a massive lanking beast. However, other myths don't describe a large beast like it, but instead they describe it with bulging out eyes that were completely hollow, again like the original myth. And what people say is that this could be a missing link, though an utterly terrifying one if lacked. A woman said that during a hike near the Japanese circus, it always has to be near a circus, she ended up discovering a plate of plantation where she saw the creature eating a dead human corpse. As soon as it was done, it started to eat the following leaves around the area that dropped from the trees after it shaped the trees. She described it as massive, at least 17 feet tall. She said its lengthy arms and its horrifying face was just so disturbing. She felt like bulging her own eyes out at the sight. Honestly, this is just absolutely terrifying, these tales. And there is one more tale, and it's rather short. A boy was playing near a lake when he saw the creature climb out of the water. This time, again, it was 17 feet tall like always, and it just stared at him before attempting to chase him but slipping on a group of rocks, failing his pursuit. What do you think? I'm going out. Goodbye. Behold, a tale told 30s and onwards, the Emla-Natuka myth. Also known as the elephant killer, the Emla-Natuka is a large creature that was killed in the year 1931. Or maybe it had survived. Or specifically, there's more of its species, and there was not just only one. Let's describe the history of this Emla-Natuka specimen. Will it live or will it die on? So, the tribesmen said that this creature had been terrorising them for 45 years. An old man, around 65 years old in 1931, ended up talking to the tribesmen, or the natives of Africa, who said that deep within the savannas of the Kasai Valley lived a massive beast who was known for murdering other tribe members, and most of all, elephants and rhinos. They said the creature had a long horn, and when the man said it could be a rhino, they immediately stopped him and whispered to him, saying that it was 10 feet tall, not up to 8 feet like an average rhino, adding its horn as well. The man went on a large journey, to hunt down a beast that slays elephants in an instant. Anyway, the man ended up walking into the savannah. Now the finale began. He ended up meeting another hunter who was told by another tribe who lived in a cave that about the same creature, and together they decided to hunt it. They ended up meeting up to the woman's hunting van, and they ended up going in there, travelling through the savannah, only to see the creature covered in scars after its recent battle with another member of its kind. They watched the battle and it was short. Anyway, the creature turned around, got in the water, got out, and then stomped 3 times before backing up 3 steps and running up to the car. However, this was a mock charge. The people ended up getting out of the car, dodging the hit of the creature. However, before it hit, it stood just 1 foot away from the car and then stood back 3 feet before knocking the car over, almost crushing them both. Anyway, the two started to shoot, and they ended up shooting the creature to death. 15 times in the head, 50 times in one of its feet, and once in the heart when it reared up. The creature took its last 3 breaths before falling dead to the ground. The man ended up then using the woman's power to rip off the horn, and the two fell in love 5 days after the incident. They were the ones who worked together to kill the beast of the Kasai Valley. The end. So what do you think of this monster, Emla-Natuka? Hopefully you enjoyed this short 3-minute video, and bye. See ya. In Flatwoods Forest, a mysterious creature known as a monster or extraterrestrial life form was discovered and terrorized these kids. A group of kids were playing football in 1952, and only in 1952. The people had reported seeing a strange extraterrestrial life form in Flatwoods Town and Flatwoods Forest. It had approximately terrorized the town for 1952 and 1953. Then it left somehow. The group ended up seeing a flying saucer in the original encounter with the beast. It ended up crashing and making a massive thump. Then a woman and her male friend were talking over the radio. A group of 5 children went in and they ended up getting the adults to report the incident. And they had also saw the flying saucer drop and were about to call social security. He was known as Eugene Lemon, or for short, Gene Lemon. Together, the group ended up leaving the house apart from the man because he thought it would be an asteroid. And if the man was the only good one, he was the one who actually didn't suffer for the rest of his life. But because these people were so curious, they did. When they entered the forest, it became nighttime. Then they saw 2 red glowing eyes of a 17-foot tall to 7 to even 10 feet tall, other reports suggest, creature that was laying on the tree. Immediately he went directly to them, flying, letting massive amounts of deadly gas out of his body, knocking the people unconscious after Gene dropped the flashlight. The boys and the woman ended up dropping to the floor unconscious. And when they woke up, they ended up calling the police. He's alongside the male who accompanied them, deciding to walk in the forest, and he said he had also saw the creature. So, real or fake?
What's up, guys? Sorry if I'm a bit, croaky in the voice. It's because I have some issues with, sides of my teeth. Anyway, getting to the course of the video. Today we are looking at the top 3 cryptid aquatic humanoids. Well, semi-aquatic, because all 3 of them are like reptilians or amphibians that live in the water. So without a doubt, let's get into this. Top 3 semi-aquatic humanoid cryptids. Boy, that's a mouthful. By the way, please like and subscribe because of my, issues with the mouth. Please. Anyway, stop begging. Let's get into this. Number 1. Octoman. Although not a reptilian humanoid, he's definitely a semi-aquatic humanoid. This creature takes the body of a human and an octopus. It was sighted in the year 1969, and for some reason there's only 2 sightings in 1969 and 2022 most recently. Anyway, the original sighting ends up taking place on a hot summer beach in Ohio, and suddenly a man reported seeing an octopus-like creature walk out of the water for 7 hours. The beach was somehow abandoned for 49 years at this point, and he had been coming ever since he was an 8-year-old. So yeah, it quickly ran in the water after he shot it. The next time it was seen will be in 2022, most recently this month. With the creature, the picture was quickly taken, however immediately deleted by the government for some unexplained reason. Nobody knows why the government destroyed this picture and burned every single bit of it. and arrested the person who took it, but it was leaked by the person when he ended up breaking out from the most sophisticated jail in the world. So what do you think, real or fake? The Optiman. The picture was destroyed by number 2. Well, number 2. Yeah, number 2 either way. We are looking at a creature known as the Loveland Frogman, who has been sighted not twice but 5 times. The most sighted creature in this video. Well, not the least sighted anyway. It said that in the original encounter, however, there was one of them who were carrying a wand, and there was 2 of them trying to protect the other one from being run over by a sheriff. The sheriff was shocked after 5 minutes and observed the creature for at least 3 minutes before they hopped away behind a bush. So, what did you think of that? Anyway, another sighting was taken by another policeman who was on the hunt to capture a reptile who had escaped from his daughter's house when he met the creatures. That's the end of the encounter. He quickly scurried away as fast as possible, saving themselves from a bullet in the head. They ran away never to be seen. Oh yeah, there's still a few more. But anyway, number 3. Number 1. The most terrifying creature of the show is an 8-foot-tall reptilian humanoid known as the one and only green-clawed beast of Ohio. There was only one sighting, and that was in 1952. The previous year, a monster movie was made. Anyway, a woman was swimming in the water, like the segment in the horror movie, when she was suddenly dragged under the water twice by a strange beast she described as reptilian. So what do you think? Do you believe in any of these 3 cryptids? Hopefully you enjoyed, and bye. See ya. Since it's spooky season, we're documenting as a Halloween special the top 5 most terrifying dinosaurs. Number 1, Therizinosaurus. In Jurassic World Dominion and in real life, this creature was terrifying because of its giant claws that in one hit could instantly kill you. Number 2, Troodon. It's not because of how deadly they are like the ferry, but it's easily because of if dinosaurs didn't go extinct, these creatures, because of their massive amount of intelligence, might have dominated the world. Number 3, Carnotaurus. There's really no explanation why this creature was terrifying other than its speed of about 30 miles per hour, which is estimated. Number 4, Utahraptor. Have you ever thought velociraptors were terrifying? Just know that they are nerfed versions of this 20-foot raptor. Number 5, Spinosaurus. It can swim.